Hello friend and welcome to another episode of the Bonsai Pot-cast by Blue Nose Trading. I'm your host, Tori Solis, and today I'm going to be talking with Scot Lightizer of Bonsai NH and Lightizer Pottery. Scot is a bonsai artist and hobby potter living in New Hampshire. Today Scot and his cat Kip joined me to chat about his journey learning to make bonsai pots, some sustainable pricing tips, and techniques for throwing bonsai pots on the wheel, and so much more. So let's get right into today's conversation. That's fair. My dogs also. Sometimes when people drop off packages or mail, they make a big fuss about it. It's entertaining.
Yeah.
Oh, hi, kitty. Oh, precious. What's their name?
Kib.
Kib?
Yeah,
Oh,
Kib.
how sweet. Oh, so sweet. Kib, alright, so today for the Bonsai Podcast, I have Scot Lightizer and Kib, his kitty cat, joining me today. And Scot, tell me about yourself and your creative practice. I know you're both into bonsai as well as ceramics.
Yeah, so I first got trees probably like 10 years ago. And then I went to college. They all died.
Oh, no.
And then I came back into it. I got a house, got some land. I came back into it. And I got really into it, got 40, 50 trees. And then I decided that pots were too expensive, so I was going to make my own. And then after buying an entire pottery studio, now I make my own pots, and I spent triple what I would have spent on
Just some
just
pots.
buying the pots.
It's more fun this way, though.
It is. Yeah, I love it. I think I like it almost as much as bonsai. So
Yeah, I think I like the pottery a little bit more, but it's really close.
yeah,
But
depends
I
on
am
the day.
on the right. So how did you got started in clay because you were doing trees then? So that makes sense. That's a clear trajectory. How did you get into clay though? Like, was there just a clay store in town or?
No, so I sort of like when I decide I'm gonna do something, I kind of just go all in.
Yeah, I do too.
I decided I wanted to work with clay, and
Uh-huh.
so for like a year, I scoured the internet for a kiln,
Nice.
and I finally found one for pretty cheap, and I bought it, and then I was like, "Oh, we gotta buy clay, gotta buy a wheel," and I just went for it. So
What was that first kiln?
I
Do you
still
remember?
have it. It's a 23-inch diameter. I think it's called an even heat or something.
Is it a kiln sitter?
No, it's
Oh,
good.
nice,
It's got a controller
nice.
and everything.
You
Yeah.
got nice. I started with a Paragon set and fire with a sitter,
Nice.
so I was like a
I actually
I
want
ended up
a sitter, but
for why?
because it can be a little more foolproof. I think the way that my process works, I have issues with thermocouples, and so it's prone to after 4, 5, 6
Yeah.
firings to over firing. So I sometimes end up firing to cone 7 or 8 by accident. With a sitter, it would be harder to do that.
Yeah, because it automatically would shut off when the cone
Right.
melted. Interesting. Well, if you ever do end up investing in a new kiln, I highly recommend that you get the K-type thermocouple, or or is it the S-type? It's the better one. Get the better one.
Yeah, my process is so hard on them too that it just
Yeah.
they die so fast. The normal
Those,
ones.
I ended up, when I got another kiln, my first kiln didn't have a thermocouple, so it was just a sitter, and then when I upgraded, I'd listened to the For Flex Sake podcast long enough to know that I was going to just invest in that upgraded thermocouple, and I don't have to change it. It's just, it doesn't flake, it's just a solid
Really?
little rod. The only thing is I worried about breaking it. Every time I'm loading giant pots or unloading, I'm like, that's the expensive stick.
I smash mine every time, so that probably isn't good either.
I'm so aware of it. It's like when you're working with a power tool and you just can't stop thinking about how if you mess up, you'll cut something off your hand. Like, I just look at the thermocouple and I'm like, I'm gonna break it if I'm not watching it the whole time. Like, it's gonna just jump off my kiln and break itself somehow. I don't
Yeah.
watch it.
Maybe I need more practice and then I'll get that one.
Did you teach yourself? Did you just watch YouTube videos?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing I watched was John the Potter, which is
Yep.
honestly not related to what I do much at all.
No, that's fair. I watch the John the Potter videos a lot too.
He's just super entertaining, and
Mm-hmm.
I watched a lot of that, and mostly taught myself though.
Mm-hmm.
I've taken 2 throwing classes ever. One was just a local person, and they helped a lot with some of the small details and like centering and stuff. I was lucky enough to work with Jack Hoover. He went to New England Bonsai Gardens, and I was the only one sitting there with him. Everyone else was looking at the trees, and he's there just throwing pots, and I was the only one. And I was just asking him 1,000 questions nonstop, like 3 hours. I sat there just asking him 100 questions, and that like interaction is really what let me actually do what I do. Just the generosity with how much he answered and how much he showed, and he didn't have to do that,
Yeah.
and it just helped a lot. And just seeing the process of doing exactly what I do
Mm-hmm.
from a sort of like master was totally eye-opening. And I think I owe a lot to that.
That's awesome. It's great that there's such openness in the ceramic community. A lot
Right.
of people do share a lot of their process, and we all share our stories because it's just a tiny little clay world.
Right. Nah,
It's
really
awesome
cool.
that you got to meet a potter who also made bonsai pots as well. I also taught myself in a very similar story to you, honestly. Like, I got all the stuff off of the Facebook Marketplace and
Yeah.
then watched the videos and then taught myself to throw. But I wasn't as good as at keeping my trees and caring for them as you. At your point, you're way farther in to the trees as well. What kind of trees are you keeping? I see
So
you got
I
some
keep,
there with you.
yeah, I brought a few in. I get some
Nice.
examples with me. But, this is a big larch here.
Is that collected material? Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
it's beautiful.
And the eastern white cedar here,
Also nice.
big old hollow.
That's super
So yeah,
pretty.
I work almost only with local species and very cold hardy species. Being up in New Hampshire, it's cold.
Mhm.
I think it's 13 degrees out right now. So I work mostly with these, and I work mostly with collected material. I've been getting into like black pines also last year. I put
Nice.
some effort into that, but mostly local collected stuff.
Very cool. I like the local collected material, and I also really like tropicals. But I'm down here in a whole different part of the equator. Like,
Where are you again?
I'm down in Dallas, so
Okay.
it's hot. It's hot down here.
Yeah,
It's cold right now, just a little bit, but
Yeah.
like it's nothing like up north at all. No.
Yeah, I don't feel bad.
No, you don't. No, you shouldn't. You can just send us a prayer in August. That's when you don't want to be
That's
down
true.
here. It's something else down here.
Yeah, I've been down there in the heat. It's not fun.
I don't. I would rather be hot than cold, but no one wants it to be 115 degrees outside.
No.
So, when are you making trees or pots for your own trees, like with your trees in mind?
Yeah, so the way I work is I kind of let the clay do what it wants to do. So
Mhm.
I start with an idea, and then so I'll have a tree in mind. Like I have 3 or 4 trees I need to repot their first potting out of like a collected bigger container. So I'll start with like a certain amount of clay, and I'll start with sort of a rough diameter that I want to work
Mhm.
with, and I'll work the clay out to that, and then I'll pull up the walls to where I think I want to be for that tree, and then it may or may not work for the tree. So like I go in with the idea, and then a lot of times it doesn't work. Or you go to repot it, and with collected material, there's a huge root that you didn't know about, and it doesn't fit. I try, but it's rare that it works. So
that's fair. I don't think I ever actually can make one and say this is for that. It just kind of like, oh, something will come out, and I'm like, oh, that would look cool with that. So it's more like coincidental for me.
Yeah, it's usually where I'm at too. I try, but probably 80% of the time I fail, and I end up using one that I meant for a different tree for this tree, and they switch. And
unless you get to take your favorites off the top. I keep my favorite pots and then the worst ones. So all the ones that are really terrible, I keep those, and then the ones that are like the best, I also keep those.
Exactly the same. I was just showing off some to a couple friends, and I got a new chop. It's actually this tree sitting to my right.
Oh, that's so cool. Is it like a stamp?
Yeah.
Nice.
So that chop is saved for my like best pots, you know. And
nice.
So I was showing the pots that I've been making this winter off to friends, and they're like, "Oh no, the special chop's on it." I was like, "That's because it's mine."
That's nice. Like I do a lot of my process is glazing. So like it's funny because like I don't know when it's gonna be the right one, so I have to chop all of them. So I just think about some of the real ugly ones and like, okay, well, it's perception that it's ugly. Someone's gonna like it or they wouldn't have agreed to buy it. I'm not forcing anyone to take pots home.
Right.
And then like, but also I'm like, in reflection of my body of work as a whole, like later people are gonna be pulling some up and being like, look at this goobery pot. Like, it's Tori's, she made it.
I definitely sold a bunch in the beginning that are interesting, we'll see.
Yeah. I think that's good though. I think it's fun, right? Like, because if I find a new potter or get some beginning work and then watch them grow, I wouldn't value that piece that I got from them that was super goobery like any less. If anything, I'd be like, wow, like look how far you've come. Like I've got this doorstop bonsai pot you sent me way back in the day, and like it'll never break. It's heavy, but it's eternal. Great. So what is your studio practice? Are you working at a home studio or are you in a community situation?
No, so I have a home studio. I have pretty much all the equipment.
Is it in a garage, or do you have a shed, or did you just sacrifice a spare bedroom?
It's in a bedroom, but I'm moving it to the basement. You know, all the dust and everything. I don't really want it in my living space, so I think this winter I plan to move it to the basement. Nice. So you have what kind of wheel did you end up getting? So I started with a VL Light, Shimpo VL Light, and I got that like 3-4 years ago, and then I want to make big pots. I have big trees, so I want to make 15, 16-inch pots, and that wheel just couldn't do it. So I think it's a Scot now.
Nice. I was looking at those.
Big, strong wheel. And it has a special motor or board or something for more power at lower speeds. Because when you're throwing a 16-inch pot, you're throwing it really slowly. So you need power for that. Yeah. I love it. Super, super stable, super powerful. I don't have to worry at all about it.
Nice. That's good. If I got another wheel, I think I would end up getting a Scot.
Yeah.
So I tried to buy a Soldner, and I waited on a wait list. I paid for it, and then it was on like, oh, you have to wait because we're going to have to make it for you. And I waited for like 8 months, and then the company got sold to a different company, and then the new company told me that I could just forget about it, or whatever, however you want to phrase that, and canceled my order. And then the clay distributor store that I bought it through was like, oh, well, they said no. So even though you waited, pick a different wheel. And like I'd already waited so long, I was like, what do you have that you can send me tomorrow?
I had literally the same story.
Oh yeah, you tried to get a Soldner too?
I tried to get a Pacifica actually,
Hmm.
and it was the same thing. It was in stock, bought it. 2, 3 weeks later, I get an email, hey, it's out of stock. And I said the same thing. What do you have that you can see in your building that you can actually
Right.
send?
I like it like tested the end of my patience to no other because like I really really wanted this Soldner, like I saved up for it. I was like, I'm only gonna buy one wheel, and I'm gonna have
Right.
this wheel forever. And then to wait that long and have a company tell me like tough titties kitties was just kind of like, man, oh. So I ended up getting the Shimpo, the bigger one. I forgot which one that is. The Whisper,
Yeah, the
not the
Whisper.
light.
The
Yeah.
Whisper's the bigger one,
And I would have rather had the Scot, but the distributor that I purchased the original wheel through didn't sell Scots.
yeah.
So that was a bummer because the Scot was my plan B.
Well, do you
C'est la
do you
vie.
throw big or no?
Yeah,
Most.
I throw huge bonsai pots like you do. Like I've got 26-inch bats, like that are like plaster hydro bats. And like you say like when you're throwing big you're throwing slow, but like I've got my pedal down and I like stand up and I've done it. I don't even have my foot on the pedal. Like it's just going full speed while I'm standing up working over it because like it's the power's not there. You know what I mean?
I
Like
see.
it's not like I don't have that amazing torque. Like it's not that it's not spinning or that it's fighting me, but at full speed with that much weight, like I can still control it. So
So you
it's
still throw fast on those big pots. You have a pretty.
yeah, but I like that's kind of part of my nature. I'm kind of like really fast about everything. So I think that it also translates through like I'm really fast and I'm heavy-handed. And I try to like kind of counter those things, but those are two things that come naturally to me, so like I'm always working quickly, but like I also pull really hard.
Hmm,
So like I'm pulling hard and going fast, so like they kind of work together. Like
interesting.
if you're going fast but pulling enough, applying the right amount of pressure. So if I go too slow, I usually rip things because of how
Huh.
heavy-handed I am.
I am the opposite. I
Yeah.
real slow. I work the walls up super slowly.
Yeah.
It's
I think
interesting.
that both ways are good.
Yeah, it's interesting. I tried to go faster in the beginning, and then when I watched Jack, he moves
Mhm.
very slowly as well, and
Mhm.
he's very deliberate with everything, and that's when I was like, oh, you can go slow. You don't have to be John the Potter and just go whoop. Just
No. Oh, that's fun. You can go slow. You don't have to go fast.
right.
Like, I know, but like, I just naturally like, I'm just like that. So I'm like, I'm gonna learn to be fast. It's gonna work
Sure.
fast, or it's not gonna work at all.
I mean,
So
that's
just,
if you can go fast and get the
yeah,
quality. I mean, that's the way to do it.
yeah, yep, yep. So, what kind of clay do you like to use?
So I like a really like medium dark brown with like speckles in it. Forget the name of it. I'm using Laguna now.
Is it speckled buff?
Yeah, I can't think of the name of it though, like exactly, but it's got a little bit of speckles in it. It's dark. It's not easy to move. That's one problem with it.
Mm.
It's not like a nice porcelain where it's just buttery smooth. It's
Mm-hmm.
hard to move. Takes a lot of effort, but I think the end result is worth it.
Nice. I like speckled clay bodies a lot as well.
Yeah. Yeah, and then
I think.
I think you can probably see. It's just a dark
Oh, is that with an
reddish
iron?
reddish brown. Well, I put iron oxide on it as well, so
Okay.
I'm sure there is iron in it as well.
Oh yeah. It's got a wash on it though. That's why it's super dark.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice, nice. Are you mostly using washes, or do you like any kind of glazes, or?
So I do mostly oxides. So I'll paint on the oxide over the whole pot and then wipe it off and leave some streaks, leave some like aging type looks.
Mm-hmm.
But I also use wood ash, so I don't often glaze, but I'll use wood ash on almost all my pots, and that's what also gets more speckles and more age on it.
Nice. So what's that process like for you to use, like to apply it? Like what stage are you applying it, and then how are you firing it? What atmosphere is that and everything?
Yeah, so I've been going back and forth between single firing and firing twice. Right now, I'm single firing. I actually do all of the wash and applying the wood ash just on raw dry clay. Essentially, you use a spray glue. You use a spray glue, spray the pot, and then you'll kind of spray the ash at it, or you can blow the ash at it.
Yeah.
It sticks, and that's what kills my kiln and thermocouples is that mixture.
Yeah, it does sound problematic.
Yeah, it's brutal. It smells so bad with the glue, and
Gosh. Well, hopefully that your kiln is somewhere separate from your living quarters.
yeah, it's in the garage, so you
Or
just
vented.
yeah, you just don't go through. Yeah, I keep the garage door open. I keep the back of the garage door open.
Good.
Get some crosswind
For sure.
and just
Good.
don't go out there. Do not go out.
So no glazes.
Rarely. I mean, I like glaze. I think it's kind of like magical. It's cool.
It's chemistry, which is really close to magic.
Yeah, and just the way it runs, and you get all different effects. You change temperature by 20 degrees, and you get something totally different. I like it, but I rarely do. I think I'm not good at it yet, for one. So
That's fair.
I don't like ruining a good pot with a crappy glaze.
I can I can understand that.
But I also just, it's not my style, I guess.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, there's a ton of different things you can do in ceramics that, you don't have to do all of them. It'd be impossible. Could you imagine if you did all of them? Like your sgraffitoed, wheel thrown, slab built, like glazed yet unglazed, speckled porcelain, like slip decorated, like just throwing everything at one single pot, like.
Yeah, I try on different pots, and then I realize I know what I like. I try hand building. I was hand building this week, and I'm like, oh, it's just not my thing,
It takes so long.
It does.
I'm like, yeah, I like sculpting, but it's a little different.
Right.
Cause but whenever I gotta roll a slab, I'm like, I don't have a slab roller yet, and I'm just like, I hate this. Like.
Yeah, I got a slab roller. Probably
God.
a year and a half, 2 years ago, and I think I've rolled out 6 total slabs on it. I just always go back to the wheel. So
I know, I love to throw, and I do a lot of not bonsai pots as well. So I have like a production line of different like drinkware. So like there's that too. The hand building is like a whole different thing. I think there's people that do both, but I think some people might favor, and I feel like I favor throwing. I feel like you might as well.
Yeah, I get a lot of friends and like customers that I sell mostly just locally, but a lot of people in my local club are asking me for hand built. They're like, I need rectangles, I need ovals.
I know. I hear that too.
I'm like, all right, I got you. And then I go and do one, and I'm like, first of all, I'm never selling this pot. It's mine.
Right. It took 4 years to make it.
Yeah. 3 weeks. It's mine, and I'm not making another one. Sorry.
That was kind of exactly how I felt about it. Like, I had a client ask me if I could make ovals, and I was like, sure. How hard can that be? I can throw the walls, and no, it's so hard, and it's just so much work. And then like to finesse it to the point where like it's at a quality where I want to let it go. And then on top of that, there's the failure rate, because they're just so dang hard to dry, and they're so hard to move around your studio without warping, wobbling, denting, or cracking at some point. And then they have to dry forever because there's a big wide plate with like thin little walls, so you have to wrap it up in plastic almost entirely and let it dry, just taking up its 24 inches of space somewhere. I bless everyone who has the patience, time, and space in their studios to make large ovals.
Right.
Like,
I've made a couple, like 12, 15-inch ovals.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, same. It's a brutal process for me. It's not fun. I don't know.
Yeah, that's how I kind of felt too. Oh, well, there's a lot of people making ovals, so we'll leave them to it.
That's how I feel. Yeah.
Nice.
I like rounds for my trees anyways. Like I think I feel comfortable putting almost any tree in a round, and I would not feel comfortable putting any tree in a rectangle. So I think that's the other part of it is I just love round pots for my trees anyways.
Nice. I don't know enough about the technicalities of what styles are supposed to go into what pots, but I figured that, like, there are a lot of potters. If I just make the rounds I like to make, then the people who want rounds will buy the rounds I have.
Yeah, exactly.
And the people who want ovals will seek out the oval people, and we'll all live in happy potter harmony where everyone just makes what they like making.
Yep, I agree. That's sort of my take. I'll dabble in the other things here and there, and they probably won't ever get sold, and then I'll stick with my rounds.
Or if you do see something weird on my website or see me posting it and there's a for sale thing, like, you better grab it because, like, there's no promise I'm ever going to do it again. So are you interested in any kind of atmospheric firings, like, outside of the, like, localized atmosphere you're kind of creating?
What do you mean?
Maybe, like, reduction or wood firing maybe, or
I'd love
anything
to.
like that.
Right? Like, especially my type of pot where they're sort of like rustic style.
Mm-hmm.
They're supposed to look old and used up, and I'd love to wood fire. There's one sort of local, but I haven't done it yet. And same with I'd like to gas fire, just so you get that sort of difference in colors where the flames are hitting. You get a little bit different colors and stuff. I'd love that. I've got a friend who's building a big gas kiln, so I'm gonna probably hit him up at some point. I'd love to, but I don't have the tools.
Yeah, it's just not there. I gotcha. It's hard. I mean, I haven't ever got to do a wood fire either, but I would be down to throw a pot in there. But I ain't staying up all night either, though. I'm taking a daytime shift, so there's that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I hear about them, like, I stayed up all night watching this fire. I was like, I'm too old for that.
Yeah, I got some
Mentally.
friends that do it. I'm like, can you just bring one of my pots for me? You guys can tend the kiln. Just bring
I get the part of, like, of like contributing, because
Right.
you're all participating, but part of me is like, what if I just made a cake? One pot and a cake. I drop it off.
Right.
I'll come back.
Too. Exactly. I'll make 2 pots. You guys can keep one.
Right.
The other one's
and
for
you can
me.
eat the cake.
Yeah.
Nice. So, what is your favorite part of the ceramic process?
I'd say there's 2.
Okay.
I love throwing, so like whenever I'm on the wheel, I'm happy. I'm relaxed and having a good time. And then I think opening the kiln and finding no explosions, we'll say. So
Or meltdowns.
Yeah, I have plenty of explosions still, but I think when you open a kiln and you find just like a perfect piece, like you look at the top and you're just like, wow, that's exactly what I hoped for. I think that's just, there's nothing like it in art, I don't think, the skill of that.
Because there's so many failure points, so many places where you could have messed up between now and then, and the fact that you didn't, it's just like, wow, you made it, kid.
Yeah, I love it.
Oh. So what's your least favorite part? Or no, you had 2 favorite parts, so that's the first one. No, it's throwing and opening the kiln. That's 2. Okay, sorry. So what's your least favorite part then?
It's definitely the disasters. I mean, I still have plenty, and it's usually on hand-built stuff that I have problems on. So you spend all these hours making a pot, and I made like this carved Cthulhu pot, and it had like this whole tentacle face and everything, and it took me days to do. And I'm looking and I open the kiln, I'm all excited. I look at the top layer, looks great. Take that shelf off. Get to the second layer, looks great. Take that shelf off. Get to the third one, his entire face is just blown apart.
Oh no.
His pieces of his face in other pots. It was just, that's what really is brutal.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed.
I tried to piece them back together. I spent so many hours. I tried to glue them together, and it was just
no. I had that happen just this past week with a small sculpture. I was doing a clay test for a clay called Speckled Brown Bear, and I sculpted a tiny little bear out of the clay just to have as like the YouTube photo thumbnail.
Yeah.
And like I sculpted him and I stuck him in there, and like I opened it and he would just
why
everywhere.
I
like,
don't get
well, it's always pretty much drying, so I didn't let him dry long enough, and he was a little bit thicker. He looked dry on the outside, and I was kind of impatient. And normally when I fire my bisque, I do like at least a 1 hour hold, so I thought that we were Gucci, and we were not.
I never understand that because I dry for 2 months sometimes.
Oh dang!
A lot of times I do.
I wonder if it's just humid where you live.
I don't know.
I'm not really sure what the climate is up there. Never been, but I feel like it's kind of humid.
It probably is. I mean, I'm on the coast, right? So.
Yeah. Well, that sucks though. Well, I don't know how your kiln works, but you don't have a way to candle or preheat, or does it?
Yeah, I actually do a lot of times. Also, I'll even do that. And, still, I don't know.
It's just a matter of finessing it. You know, you'll figure it out.
Yeah. I mean, I'm only a few years into this, so it's like a lifetime of learning that I'm only just a tiny bit into. So.
Yeah, I agree. Me too. And it's all just like so much of it is so particular to your individual situation and so many different little factors that no one can really tell you in a lot of cases exactly what to do.
Yep.
They're just like, have you like tested all these different weird little things? And if you've exasperated all the suggestions, it's like, well, good luck testing different things you think of. Hope you find it, because I feel like I'm always testing 100 different things too. Like always that little bit of finessing. Like, why is this doing this? Why is this doing this?
Right.
And just adjusting your process in an ongoing kind of way.
Yeah, and any little change to any process in it totally changes what you have to do in the next step. So.
Yep. What kind of goals do you have for your ceramic process? Are you a hobby potter, or are you trying to like make a production line with what kind of goals do you have? Are you trying to sell at nationals? Like
I did sell
no
at
wrong
nationals.
Answers. Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah, it was cool.
Nice. I didn't know that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I got I didn't have my own booth. I sold with someone, but
oh, cool.
But yeah, it was really cool. I got some really good advice by some of the old timers. They came by and I said, "Hey, check out my pots. Tell me what you think." And they gave some advice and stuff. But so that was super cool. But my goal is to never make this for money ever. I usually sell my pots for half of what I should sell them for because I'm selling to friends, I'm selling to club members, and I don't do good work when I think about selling it. Like, oh, I want to make this thing because this will sell well. I make horrible pots like that. So my only goal is just to keep going, keep getting better, and have fun with it, and hopefully they keep selling. That's all.
That's good. Well, it's good to sell, like, I understand like selling at a discount to like friends and family in your local club and stuff, but like I would suggest ask and maybe say that if you are going to sell on a more competitive marketplace like Etsy or something, to even if you don't think that you want to make the money, you need to price yourself at least to what other people are pricing so that you don't undercut people who need to pay their rent.
For sure.
Because, like some of us have to make the $30 an hour on our work, and
Right.
it has to be priced into our work in order for us to survive and sustain ourselves. So if you do end up on a competitive marketplace, at least consider that when you're doing your pricing, instead of just saying like, oh, I don't need the money. Just think about like why the market prices are where they are, and the people who require those prices to keep going in a way that makes it worth doing.
Yeah, that's fair. I think I don't plan to ever do that, for one. I
Yeah.
don't plan to ever sell one anywhere
Well, there's
other
space
than
for you
locally.
for sure.
Uh, and I only sell to friends, really. So I mean, I don't think and I don't make
It's
many.
way less stressful that way.
I'm only selling probably 50 pots a year, if that. Maybe
Yeah. Well,
maybe 30, 40 pots a year.
you can make some super quality pots, and when it's not your job, you can just focus on feeling it all out, really, really enjoying it.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I try and do.
Kind of advice would you give someone who was looking to like make their own bonsai pots? Like if they were on the similar journey where they had their trees and were thinking about wanting to make a pot for themselves.
That's a great question. I think there's two halves to it. I think I teach classes locally too, so like
Oh, sweet.
my local bonsai club. Each year, I bring a few people over and we make pots. So those people who are just in it for like a little hobby thing to make a pot, I just tell them don't worry, just let the clay do what it does and don't worry about it. And it's clay. You can always fix anything. That's kind of my method for teaching is there's no messing up when you're working with clay because you can just smush it and make something new. Someone getting into it for real, I think it's just practice and then find someone that's willing to show you the process at least once or twice so you really can see it. Because again, I think Jack showing me exactly his process was. I went from the day before making terrible pots to the day after making things that are actually good and you can put a tree in.
Yeah, that's well said. I agree. I had a teacher show me that because I was making bonsai pots like mugs where I was basically centering and then having like a low puck and then trying to pull out opening, and he was like, why are you doing that? Just make a plate and then push the wall up.
That's
I was
exactly
like,
what I do now.
Yeah, and I was like, of course. So now I literally just make a plate and push the wall up and like, never going back. So
That
just
is...
like that little thing like that, and you can get that from teachers' podcasts. Like, but you got to go seek it out.
Yeah, that one I actually just figured out on my own in the last like year. I was doing the same thing. I was opening. I'd make like kind of a taller puck and then I'd open it, and I just was like, why don't I just smush it all the way down and then just pull the wall up? And the only problem is you lose a couple inches of diameter on your bat. So like if I have a 17-inch bat, I can only make a 15-inch pot or so that way. That's the one, I think, drawback.
If you can pull it without, if I have, like, sometimes I fist pull it out, so I'm using the side of my fist to pull the clay all the way out. It's a lot of force. Like I told you, I'm really heavy-handed.
Yeah, you're a monster.
So, like, I pull it all out in one giant fist over, and then it'll have, like, a bulge on the edge where I pulled it all over, and then sometimes then I don't have to flip it up. I have all the mass just pulled to the edge of the bat.
Interesting, yeah.
If I want to make, like, a huge pot. But that's, like, maybe 10 or more pounds of clay, probably, because, like, I trim out my bottoms and use plaster bats, so it's awesome.
I throw 90% of the time with no splash pan on already.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I don't really. My splash pan's on, but like I don't. It's never wet in my splash pan because I don't use much water because I'm moving so fast that I don't have to really go back for water. Like it's just one. It's wet and then it's fast and then I like strong arm it like She-Hulk into submission, and it's done.
That's so funny. Do you have videos? I want to see this.
Yeah, I think it's all. I have my YouTube. I don't remember if I have any specific bonsai pot videos. I need to make I need to throw today, so I'll probably just try to make a reel or something where I open it up. Did you have any questions for me or anything? We're coming up on our time almost. We got some time, but
Stylistically, what would influence you? Like, I definitely have a few potters that I take a lot from in terms of style. Do you have any like that?
Gosh, I watch a lot of people online, and there's a lot of people's work that I really like. I would say that off the top of my head, as far as bonsai potters whose work I really like, I don't know how it's influencing me. I just look at it, go, I like that. It's like Bad Swan Ceramics and a lot of the Australian potters that they have going on down there. And then I like what the crystalline potters are doing as far as how obnoxious they are, but I don't think that I specifically want to do crystalline, like zinc crystal pottery necessarily or anything like that, but I do like the loudness, and I like color, and I like pursuing the idea of imperfection while making forms that are tight and then letting them be kind of wobbly. Like,
Yeah.
I like
Wonkiness.
But I don't like doing it intentionally. But I like it's a fine line between intention and acceptance, because intention is like you slap it, and then acceptance is like it happens and you look at it and you go, okay, I know what I did to do that, like, because I work so fast, and like that kind of comes out in the speed, right? Like if you pull it off too fast, then it like shifts to the side, and I look at it and go, oh, that was too fast, but then I don't care. Like not in a bad way, like I'm just not upset with it. I'm like, oh, okay, well that's gonna be one that's like that, and like I just let it freaking be. And like I know that there's a pushback on that to say like, oh well, you're just careless, you don't care, the work is bad, but also at the same time I feel like that pushback means that it's something worth doing, because that's how art works.
Agreed.
I think about it a lot, and I like the colors, and honestly, at the end of the day, I've kind of just decided that I'm a production potter full-time. I make cups and drinkware, mostly. I could stop making bonsai pots and still pay my bills on drinkware, so I just let my bonsai pots be like whatever I want them to be, and I don't care if people like them or not, because they're like the thing that I really like to make. I make mugs and stuff that I know are gonna sell because I do need to make the money, but when it comes to my bonsai pottery and my planters, it's like, if everyone's like, oh well, they should be this if you want to sell them here, I'm like, well, I guess I'm not gonna sell them there because this is what they are. So
Same.
that's kind of where I'm at.
I think that's the right way. I think that's the right way to look at it, specifically in this. It's important to make what you like to have it come out good.
Yeah, I agree. And with, like with the drinkware, I just made, like when I developed a line of work that was going to be pottery, like production, I'm going to make the same thing over and over. I started with making just a few designs that I was like, I like this, and if I had to make 400 of them next month, that'd be fine. I don't hate my production line, but like every bonsai pot, I kind of want it to be different and to progress this more authentic, fluid progression through time, as far as like form and the shape and the function, and allowing me to explore glaze chemistry and surface kind of too. So all that kind of stuff.
You should get with Josh. I'll set you up if you want to see weird glaze chemistry and stuff. He's super knowledgeable and very helpful.
Yeah, cool. You just forward me their Instagram or whatnot.
Yeah.
So where can everybody find all of your stuff online these days? Oh, and are you going to be making a new Instagram for your pottery, or?
I don't think so. I think I'm gonna keep it sort of joint. It's both Instagram is bonsainh.com for New Hampshire, and then my website is the same.
Yeah, bonsainh.com.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's cool.
Yeah, absolutely. This podcast is brought to you by Blue Nose Trading, which is me and all of my patrons. You can get early access to unreleased podcast episodes and YouTube videos by becoming a patron of my work at patreon.com/bluenosetrading. You can find all of my current available ceramic work on my website, bluenosetrading.com. For social media links and information about today's artist, be sure to check out the show notes. Thank you so much for tuning in this week. Remember that you have great ideas that are worth exploring, drink lots of water, and I will see y'all next time around.